Give me a smile.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they tell you just to enjoy the time that you've got. The bit that I find has been the hardest as his mum is you plan their funeral in your head, but then you try to plan their future at the same time.
The words abnormal mass will be forever etched in my mind because they were the words used by the registrar who told me he had seen this after a CT scan. My passion of ocean swimming, which I'd started in the few years previous to my diagnosis, gives me the best metaphor because it felt like I'd been thrown into this swirling ocean. I could see my family kind of bobbing around me on lifeboats trying to reach out to me, but I couldn't quite reach their hands.
So Jet was newly 13 and for about 14 months he had the oddest symptoms. So Jet couldn't bend over anymore, could not bend any further than the hip. Severe cramping down the left-hand side of his body. He couldn't walk straight anymore. Even when swimming, he was swimming off on a different tangent. We went to the doctor, I think 12 times, begging for help. They did end up doing an MRI of his spine because he couldn't walk, but obviously Jet's brain tumour was not in his spine. Jet started having dots in his eyes and was having blurred vision, and towards the end, our doctors said it was anxiety and that he could go and waste all my money getting this investigated. If he didn't go blind,
I wouldn't be here.
Jet wouldn't be alive. People often ask Jet why he's not angry about being blind. And it's because it's what saved him.
The NAS is a service that steps in to families on a one-to-one basis, assisting them to access services and supports nationally that they'll be entitled or eligible for. We guide the process for them from start to finish, sitting in service for as little or as long as they need of us. The importance of the role the advocates play in families' lives, to me, is immeasurable. They come to us in service at a 180 spin in life. They're very vulnerable, emotionally impacted, and for the patients, cognitively or physically impaired. To come into service with one of our advocates and to have those supports out in community and government streamlined for them, guided for them, simplified for them, but in the most part to get what's needed for them correct is paramount.
So the emotional impact was huge in regard to my personal situation where my sons had already had to carry their father's coffin, and believing after being told by the neurosurgeon that they would be carrying mine within a short space of time, it was difficult to swim out of that murky water of confusion, and having NAS there to reach out their hand as a lifeboat was invaluable and helped me to turn things around and become more positive. But definitely having NAS involved has impacted my emotional stability and my sense of worth.
The NAS exists solely on the collaborative efforts of both the Peace of Mind Foundation and Cure Brain Cancer Foundation collectively. They are able to be supported solely through community donations. There is no government support for this service. There is no government support into those foundations to allow them to provide this service.
Within a few weeks, Jet's plan was completely approved and he started physio, OT, O&M, so that's for blind people to do orientation and mobility, had a cane, and psychology, so we were able to just jump straight into and start managing the blind side. Yeah, and without Fiona and NAS, we would have, I think actually I would have put my head in the sand and not have started that process. But having Fiona from the National Advocacy Service just allowed me to not feel alone.
I'm just so deeply grateful that this service exists, because it means that we can get up out of bed and still create a life that's worth living.
There's often phone calls that we'll receive through any of my team where the moment that we start communicating with families, they'll emotionally break down. It is often the first time they've offered help outside of the clinical setting. For us as a team in the NAS, There's nothing worse than patients coming to us at the end of their diagnosis, when their support needs are so critical that it's not about living a life with their disease anymore, it's about how they're going to end their life.
In the past 12 months, how many children have we buried, Jet?
8.
Yeah, 8 kids. Yep. And they all were all diagnosed at the same time as Jet, and they're all gone. It's just 8 little people.
Donating to the NAS can give you the peace of mind that you will have made an impact in not just one person's life, not just one family's life, but in an entire community. The advocates currently work with over 300 families at any one time, and there are only 8 of us. If we had more of us, if we had ability to be able to spread what we do, more families would be able to receive support. Without donations, none of it is possible.